Where are you cutting me, by any chance? Great. Thank you.
All right. Well, Henry, welcome back to Texas.
Thank you.
It's been a long, long time.
Indeed. I was here, I think, in the late 70s with Happy Days.
Yes.
And when we showed up here, all four boys came.
I remember also interviewing you during night shift. And you know what I remember most about that? Everybody was coming in saying, why are you playing this straight guy instead of the crazy guy that
Oh, right.
Michael Keaton? And you were so tired of that question. By the time I got in there and just happened to mention a change of pace for you, anticipating what I was going for, you reached over and you started eating the carnations.
Oh, all right.
You don't remember that.
I don't.
But I have it on tape and I remember.
And I want to tell you, I'm still working on digesting the carnations.
But whenever people say, what is Henry Winkler like, I always say he eats carnations. What can I tell you?
Really? Yeah.
But anyway, you are here on behalf of Cop and a Hat.
Yes, a movie that I really am proud of. It's a family film, and I always thought, you know, as a parent, I would take my kids to the movies, and there would be nothing for me. Do you know, I'd have to sit there and wait until it was over. And now, so when I made it with my son and daughter in mind, do you know? So that if I took them to this movie, there would be something for me to enjoy too.
And indeed there is. I mean, you have the relationship between Bert
Right.
and the boy.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that because Bert called me and thanked me for the relationship. He said, you know, that you had a vision and you actually got it on film.
Let's talk about how Bert came into the project.
Right. We had met with some actors before, and I just knew that I needed someone who had the life experience in them. So we brought Bert's name up. We went to visit Bert. We went to send him the script. We had a meeting with Bert. Bert had very smart ideas about his character in the script. He said, okay, and we were off. And then it took 4,000 children until we found Norman. Unbelievable.
Did you go through casting agents or did you use other means as well?
Everywhere. I was on the radio at 6 in the morning every day for 2 weeks in LA, talking to radio stations all over the country. We had 12 casting agents in 12 cities across the country. Tapes, and we saw them live, and we saw the kids in person in LA, and it was the last week and a half. Norman walked in the room, and he was a little guy, and I always thought, he had to be a little bit tough. He was a street kid, but this little boy never left. And then when Bert met him, from the minute he met him, he just melted away. It was just an incredible thing to watch those two get together.
What did Norman do when he came in? Did he read or just talk?
He read, but you know what? He's very verbal. He's a very smart child. As a matter of fact, I think that he's an old soul. I think that this is not the first time that he's on this earth, do you know? Which is what you need, because when you're directing, I think 70% of your job is in casting. So this little boy walked in, and he wanted to be an actor, and he wanted to work hard, and he somehow in his whole system understood how hard the job was, and he was undaunted, And then when we started working together in Tampa, Florida, that's where we shot the film. He was extraordinary. There was one day where he was really fidgety, and he was scratching, and he was having a hard time, and I thought, this is so weird. Yesterday, he did a scene that was uncanny, that was brilliant, and today, he's just not concentrating, and the next day, he came down with the chicken pox. So he was out for a week. Now, this is how I know there's a God. When he came back, there were no marks on this boy's face. So I lit incense, I said, thank you, I prayed every day. It was amazing.
You have some really wonderful action scenes
Yes.
in this movie. Very well executed.
Thank you.
Very well executed.
Thanks.
Tell me about the boats going up the ramp. Tell me about setting that up.
We had a chase at the end, which was extraordinary. And we had hired the location for this chase. It was inside one of those boats that carries cars across the ocean. And there are 5 layers. I mean, it's like a racetrack inside, except that there are 5 layers. And then it was going to jump off the boat. You know, the cars were going to jump off the boat. A week before we started filming, the boat got a government contract for 18 months and left. We have no end to the picture. Glenn Wilder, who I worked with on the very first thing I ever directed, an after-school special called All the Kids Do It with Scott Baio, was there with me, and I said, oh, so here we go. We don't have an end to the picture. And we went down to the docks, and he went down to the docks by himself. We went together, we discussed it, and he came up with, he said, all right, we'll use a motorcycle, we'll use cars, a truck, boats, tugboats, and we'll jump them out of the water. I said, okay, now what are we really going to do? Because I only had 4 days in which to shoot the entire action sequence. And people know that it takes, or if you don't know, an action sequence like that takes 12 days to shoot. He said, no, 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 we can do this, we'll do this. And then he went on and we brought in scientists and we figured out the angle at which the pipes leading into the water had to be so that the rocket that the boat became as it shot out of the water would be just right, and it would land in the dumpster, and it would scoot across the air and smash into the building. And I'm listening to, I don't understand, I'm dyslexic, so I don't know what he's talking about. And we ultimately put it together and shot it, and it is extraordinary, I think. And our little boy, our Norman, got to drive a speedboat at 50 miles an hour, you know, because Bert was shot in the shoulder.
Now, did Norman really drive it, or did
For part of it, no. There was no person under that deck. There was only a person on top of the deck, which was me hanging on to the camera so I could watch what they were doing at 50 miles an hour. But Norman had to take control. And well, he's crazy about vehicles, this kid. So he was able to drive, the Teamsters let him drive anything that had wheels on it. So he drove, the bus, he drove the station wagons, he drove the vans, sitting on the Teamster's lap. He was in car heaven.
No wonder this kid wants to be an actor.
Really?
How else could he do all that?
Yeah.
And get paid for it.
And get paid for it. You know what was an amazing thing? To watch the kid grow. He could not ride a bike at the beginning of the movie. And at the end of the movie, we shot a scene where he rides a bike, does dialogue, stops, and takes off. And instead of attaching the bike to the camera car, he was able to do it all on his own. And in less than 3 months, he got comfortable, he worked it out, he figured it out, and was given the bike at the end of the movie.
So you think this kid's going to have a big career?
Oh, I do. I do. We have talks now about how it's very important for him to know some people are going to try and be his friend because he's in the movies. And he said, I understand that some kids used to say, hey, shrimp, how you doing? Or get out of the way. And now they go, hey, buddy, how are you? How's everything going? He said, those people are not my friends, And we also talked about that his attitude. Because we're in the movies, because we make entertainment, doesn't mean we're any more special than anybody else. And you are who you are. If you lose that, your career will be over. If you're able to maintain that, you'll have a good time.
Well, he can look to you as a role model. I mean, you've been at it for a long time.
Yeah, thanks. But
starting very young.
Yeah, but he's a special guy. He really is. He's like my third son.
Before we wind this up, Henry, I want to ask you, you're coming back into an acting situation very soon. What is that?
Well, 2 things. One is that, as a matter of fact, I'm breaking in my cowboy boots at the moment because I'm going up to Canada to do a television movie with John Ritter. It's a drama, as a matter of fact, and I play a psychopath. I mean, a really crazy guy who dates his ex-wife. And I make him so nuts that John Ritter attempts to kill me. And I might be doing a series, again, for the first time in 9 years, which will be exciting.
What kind of a series?
I actually would play a right-wing talk show host whose family completely disagrees with everything that I think and say.
Rush Limbaugh, Jr.
Someone like that, yeah.
Okay, fine. Henry, it's always good to see
Thanks.
you. Thanks for coming today.
It's a pleasure. Oh, I can't wait to come back.
And we hope that Cop and a Half does many millions for you.
Thanks. Thanks. Take your family. You'll have a good time. I promise. I mean, he could not get any. There was no sugar on the set. He couldn't have soda. I gave him a bedtime.
Very good.
So that, and it was hot. It was hot, and these children were melting. But they were great.
So you shot it in which month?
Starting in April. We finished July.
Yes, by July it was very, very.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, it
Okay.
okay.
Henry, what sort of process did you go through to find this boy?
Well, we had 4,000 kids all over the country. I had a person in each of 12 states. I was on the radio.
That's good. Okay. All right. You still rolling on the two? Okay. Every film runs into problems. What was the biggest problem you had with this movie?
Two. One was an illness, and the other, unfortunately, was Burt Reynolds' mom died. So we had chicken pox, and then we had this incredible emotional upheaval.
Yeah. Okay. All right, now I'm just going to give you some reactions, but stay on the two shot. And Henry, you can talk about anything because we're not recording your sound.
Okay. So the greatest thing is to see the children react to the movie, because they just love it. They love it when the kid is put down by the principal and then finally gives him a ticket. And then also, I stole from the best. I stole from Spartacus, where I have all the children, stand up and say, "No, I'm Devin Butler." And I like that a lot. And then the Flying Twinkie, which I took from the Flying Arrow in Robin Hood, and the kids help him finally at the end. And everybody likes that scene across the board.
Yeah. Okay, that get it?
Yeah.
All right.